This is Claudia Patino with Volume Up by the Tees. Clearly, I'm not your usual host, but I am so excited to guest host a few episodes for a very special reason. First, I would love to introduce myself. I am a proud Latina born and raised in Texas with a deep passion for all things beauty. Since graduating from Ogle School this past year, I have planned on being an independent stylist and growing my craft. However, I believe it's important to never stop learning. I dove headfirst into a chain salon to learn about cutting hair, working on my speed, and to receive real world experience in the beauty industry. Now I work independently, focusing on wedding hair and makeup. While in school, I competed in the North American Trend Vision Awards, where I proudly became a finalist. This experience changed my entire life and my perspective on the beauty industry. I realized how powerful it is to take the leap and compete. This is why I am so excited to announce the Shape Your World Student Competition podcast series. Sebastian Professional, in partnership with Wella Education, announced their new Sebastian Student Competition. The student competition is for any student currently enrolled in a cosmetology school with two categories, cut and styling. This is your chance to put your name out there and grow your career. This podcast was specifically created to support and encourage students who are unsure or still thinking about entering the Sebastian Student Competition, but need the extra push to step outside their comfort zone. I'll be interviewing people like Omar Antonio, Anthony Cole, and Murel Koken to share behind-the-scene insights on competition, tips on building strong competition looks, and have honest conversations to help you show up confident, prepared, and ready to win. Thinking about sitting back and passing this competition up for the NATVA? Well, don't. This year, the Sebastian Student Competition is students' only opportunity to compete. Don't just take my word for it. Let's dive into this week's episode with Murel Koken to discuss finishing touches with editing and submission tips. Born and raised in Holland and then schooled in France, Marylle Koken was only 19 years old when she came to Los Angeles. As a daughter of a hairdresser, her passion drove her to be the best. She quickly rose to prominence within the industry and grew a roster of devoted celebrity clientele, including Jack Osbourne, Kimberly Stewart, Paris Hilton, Morrissey from The Smiths, 9 Inch Nails, lead guitarist Robin Finck, as well as Kendall and Kylie Jenner. Koken Salon, the Harlot Salon, is located on Melrose Avenue, one of Los Angeles' most famous destinations. Outside of the salon, her talent has been tapped to lead multiple projects, including platform education, product launches, editorial collections, red carpet styling, runway shows at LA and New York Fashion Week, advertising campaigns for Sebastian Professional, and makeup lines such as MAC Cosmetics. A 3-time NAHA finalist and 2-time Wella Trend Vision Award winner, Koken has been featured in Nylon Magazine, Stylecaster, and Refinery 29. Recently, she was named Sebastian Professional's Los Angeles Creative Ambassador. Murel, welcome to Volume Up by the Tees. We're so excited to have you here today and talk more about the Sebastian Student Competition in partnership with Wella. And I just wanted to thank you so much for squeezing us into your very busy schedule. How are you today?
I'm good, Claudia. Thank you for having me. And let's keep this real, huh?
Absolutely. That's the most important part. I feel like it's so difficult to keep it real when it comes to competitions because of the high stress. And now I really want to dive into your background and the foundations that got you where you are. So one of the questions that I have for you is, how did you get into the beauty industry? Was this something that you thought you would always do?
That's actually the only thing I knew since I was born. You know, my mom is a hairdresser and owned a couple of salons, so that's all I kind of knew as a young person on. So I never knew anything different. So it's kind of like I grew up in it, and it was like, you know, if you grew up in it and you get fed with a spoon with it, so it's like kind of know, right? I mean, my mom just said, do something what you're really good in. And I couldn't see anything else that I was really good in besides giving someone a good shampoo at that moment. You know, like I'm happy now that I am, was born within the hair industry, but when I was growing up in it, it wasn't, it's just a hard work. And your mom was not like, she was never home because she was always working.
That's so important because sometimes beauty industry can sound like a job to so many people, especially growing up in it the way you did. What is one way that you realize that hair could be more than a job? It could be art or storytelling.
Such a good question. So working behind the chairs from such a young age on, it becomes like a job, right? And also it's not always a fun job because you stand on your feet all day long and you listen to people's talking the whole, and not like everybody. So it felt like a job. I think later on in my career, it felt more like a passion because I felt like I was doing something I was really good at. And also I can understand, especially working with Sebastian, I can understand the storytelling of hair, like what it meant, not just for client behind the chair, but like for photo shoot, campaign work. There's so much more to like just cutting hair or just blow drying or styling hair, but like what does it do to a storytelling in a campaign, or what does it do to, collections, yearly collection? What does it do to like fit with the brand? And it's just so cool.
I love that. I think it's really important because hair is so multidimensional, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about finding your style. Now, for you, what does finding your style look like?
Finding my style, when I think that comes through the years of like, if we're talking about hair, right? Finding your style, like finding your niche, like what are you good in, right? So that takes a long time, Claudia. It doesn't just because like like every year you excite yourself about something else in this career. And it's almost like these building blocks of like, not only about like your skills building blocks, but also you building blocks of like who you become within the industry and what you like. And it's all like an add-on. And then you might be, like the things I was excited about years ago, I'm still excited about, but there's so many more things as layers on top of that. So it takes years to really define yourself, who you are as an artist.
That is so important to hear. I feel like as students, we're always so pressured to find exactly what you're going to do.
No, it's too early on. You too early on. It takes a long time. And also, you want to be authentic to yourself, right? Yeah. As students, you look at your next door person who has looks cool, and you're like, I want to be just as cool as that person. But like really, like you are your own person. Like I'm sure you're even way cooler. And think that sometimes these lines get so blurred because everybody wants to look alike. And it takes courage to be who you are by yourself. And it takes courage to believe in yourself. And it takes courage to, to be brave and step forward.
Yes, I really needed to hear that. I know that you're a mentor not only for the Sebastian Professional team, but also in your salon. And I really wanted to ask you, when did you open your salon and what encouraged you to do so?
Well, I never wanted to open a salon. It was more pure about like I needed to breathe. I didn't felt like the salons I was working in, I didn't feel like they were my kind of genre of hairdressers, especially because I was doing so much work with the company and traveling so much and presenting and I would come back to the salon and I was like, God, it just doesn't feel the same excitement, doesn't feel the same energy. And I wanted that professionalism. I wanted that cool edge that we had. And then I was like, this is not going to work. I just, it was very brave and it was very hard. But I wanted to just, I just wanted to work with people who were just like me and who I can learn from. That's really the reason why I opened up a salon. It wasn't because you wanted to make money or none of that, it wasn't anything glorious at that moment.
Absolutely. I feel like the difficulty and competition makes you realize how great you really are. So, what you did was take that courage, and I think it's incredible. When it comes to competitions, what's something that makes you excited about them for the student?
Um, what makes me excited for them in the competition? Well, selfishly, I want to be part of their journey, because it takes me back when I did it, and I kind of want to kind of like I can guide them and push them, but also give them the safety net of like, I got you, don't worry about it. I'm not going to let you fall. I think it's more about like being part of their journey, and also I love it. I just get me so much excitement out of it.
I think you're perfect for it because a lot of us need that tough love and that extra shove. And you have the perfect personality to show you better toughen up and do this. So I
Yes,
love
right. Yeah,
that. Tough love there.
definitely.
So early in your career, when you were a student, what's a piece of advice or something that you did not know that you wish someone had told you?
There's no shortcut to success. Like you really have to fight and also believe in yourself, and you have to keep getting up, and you might, like I always tell everyone that I'm so thankful that I failed so many times, and I'm so thankful for the people who weren't really trusting me or didn't think I was just not good enough, because I kept fighting and I kept getting up and not just showing them that I could do, but also, believed in myself.
That is such great advice. I think for any student listening, that's exactly what they needed to hear. I know that mentorship is essential, specifically in relation to competition. And I would love some personal encouragement from you
Yeah.
for anyone that's still holding back. Because I know how competitions are a big deal, but
Mm-hmm.
often they bring up and they surface feelings or fear of
Mm-hmm.
judgment. So I know a lot of students fear judgment, making it difficult to take pride in their effort. So, how do you recommend pushing past the fear for the students that are competing?
I believe and I know that if you're excited about your work, it will push through your fears. Let's say if you practice your craft, right? And you practice and you practice and you get so good at it, doesn't matter what anyone says. You're excited about your work and you will get this done. So the fear also comes from not knowing.
I love that. So it's pretty clear this competition is for any student that believes in
Sure,
themselves and the
absolutely.
practice,
Absolutely. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it.
but not everyone is willing to put in that work.
Right. But also that, but if you have so much fear for something, it holds you back, right? Think about like,
Mhm.
I know I have to go do something next month. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. I'm fear that I'm not going to be good enough. And that's like, it doesn't matter what stage in life you are. We all have it.
I love that. I feel like when you're mentoring students in the competitive or high pressure situation, what's the most important lesson that you teach them?
Trust yourself, because you're good enough. Because
Yes,
everybody is different, and that's, I can give that to my students, like, trust yourself. Just because you're at this level right now doesn't mean that you're not good enough. You just you're enough and you're good enough. You just have to practice your craft and don't be afraid.
I love that because there's only up from here, right?
Yeah, 100%.
How do you guide students to balance experimenting and being creative risk takers with strategy to make sure that they stay true to the brand or the competition identity?
It's a good question. I think that staying focused in your work, right? For example, like if I make a Pinterest board and I have all these great ideas and I narrowed it down to all these looks that I want to do, I make sure that the work, what I narrow it down to or what I want, is the work that's going to be presented. Because sometimes when it goes in between, you make up your mind, you keep shifting what you want, you get insecure, you talk to other hairdressers, they give you ideas. It's very important that you stay true to who you are, what your craft is, what you want to do, and just like, you got to stay focused. That's really what I want to say.
Yes, I think that's important is to stay focused on what you're preparing to present here. I see that there's a lot of fear for failure, like we were talking about. People are so afraid to fail, particularly in competitions. How do you recommend that students build resilience?
Well, about disappointment is failure, like maybe that's the generation right now. It's like they're so afraid to fail, but I think it's a good thing I failed so many times. I thank God I did, because I kept getting up, and it wasn't not easy when I failed, because you you fall so hard, like you want so much for yourself, and you, as a creative person, you're very emotional, so everything comes out in your work, and then if it's not good enough, and also you have to understand competition is one thing in this. It's only one small thing is competition. Just because you're not going to win this competition doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just didn't get picked. Who cares, right? Also, in this competition world, thank God, I always say, thank God you didn't win, because it makes you keep fighting for the next time. It makes you keep fighting for the next time. So I always say, like, failure is a really good thing. It might not feel good at the moment, but it builds resilience and it builds strength.
Absolutely. I think our goal is to mentor as many students as possible, because in other episodes, we talked through the whole submission process with mood boards, model selection, trial runs, and common mistakes. But the one thing that we have yet to talk about is finishing touches for competition. Now, Murel, you're the perfect person to dive into this. We've all seen the beautiful finished pieces that you have presented to the world, and we have all grown to admire them. So I wanted to ask you, with finishing touches, since they can make or break a competition entry, what do you call or consider a finishing touch to really mean?
When it's not perfect.
Would you say it's different in a competition versus in a
Yeah.
salon?
So finishing touches for a competition mean like it needs to be clean, it needs to be all these things, right? It needs to be the right lighting, it needs to be the right direction. It's not just the hair. The hair is one thing out of it. It's the model, it's the lighting, it's everything, the makeup, But what I can give back to you is like the last finished touch is almost like that little flick, but unperfect. That little unperfect fringe or that little unperfect curl, or that's like, because as judges will look at something I haven't seen that yet before, right?
Yes, that is a key information, is the judge's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you guide a student to say that is enough, this is finished, and step away?
By stepping away, that will give you the answer, because that's, by stepping away and looking at your work, that should be like enough said. Not just students, but also, people who are a little bit older doing this competition, we're too focused, too close up focus, not to step away looking at it. Also comes from practice, right? So if you practice it more and more, then you know to step back. But the question was more about like how to tell them. Is that right?
Yes.
Because I would say less is more, like,
Yes.
and I think it's good.
As a professional, I bet it's much easier for you. For students, how do we train our eyes to say, this is my finished look?
Well, when you're doing hair or when you're creating something for a competition, in your gut, it's like going the wrong way, right? When you're doing something and you're cutting and you're like, oh, I got lost, I don't know what to do. That's when you get to step away.
Do you have any tips on telling the difference between a good look and an exceptional look?
Well, I do, but students they don't have the eye yet for it, right? But what I do like about the young hairdressers today, because they have such a fresh eye, and they have such a fresh way of doing hair. It's so unique to them. I don't want to like change their perception of like, this is good, this is bad, because what they're doing right now is really good. Just because I do it different doesn't mean that's better. You know what I mean? It's like I want to keep them in their own world as their own creative person, so they have a free outlet to like explore their creativity.
Absolutely. I think that from your judge perspective, you share a lot of insight on the opposite side from the student. So I think it's really important to share those things. Is there something that you ultimately look for when evaluating a completion or a competition entry?
Yeah, I definitely, so if it's an overall look from like as an entry, I look at like, I look at like, does it look clean? Is the lighting good? Is the model good? I mean, I look at everything, not just the hair. It needs to be the overall mood, right? Just because, you do the best haircut, but is the model good? Is the photographer good? Is the lighting good? Like all these little things. And it doesn't really have to cost money. You just have to make sure that you, as a hairdresser or as a student, make sure that that picture is just perfect when you enter it. I look at something fresh and new. I look at someone who's fearless and who's bold in their work and who doesn't let go. Like someone who's just unleashes their creativity.
Absolutely. Not afraid to let it all out.
No,
Put it
of
all on
course
the
not.
table.
Yeah, no. Like you have to just let it go. Let your
Yes.
creativity flow. It's great.
Absolutely. I think the creativity involved would be uh, essential in this. How do you balance pushing creativity with maintaining a polished, cohesive look?
But that comes through a lot of training. You know, the more you train on the looks, the more it becomes polished because you keep looking at the same look. You know, you keep looking at it, you keep doing it, and it just gets better and better.
Yes, because making sure that the final look is perfect is critical, along with the social content that you capture along the way. And I feel like these competitions are the great opportunity to show off your true artistry, not just through your submission. And I think that most stylists and students love your social channels. And I'd love to pick your brain on the social content that you share
Sure.
too. So, how important would you say it is when supporting the competition entry? How do you decide what parts of the process are worth capturing, posting, and promoting?
I think the whole works, you know, the works behind it. It's not just a finished look because no one really cares about it, but how did you get there? Right? Like you doing it actually. Just bring the camera down the sides and just doing the hair and like creating the haircuts or the styles, whatever you want. Not just the finished looks. But I want to
Absolutely.
see you working it, you know, your authentic self.
How many times do you think that somebody should practice their look?
Oh God, it's like you can't put a number on it. You practice as much as you like the calm breaks, you know, you practice as much as you're sick of it. And then you have to pick it up again and do it again. You can't practice enough.
Absolutely. I feel like you only truly learn something when you're able to teach it to somebody else with no interruptions. What are some tips that you have for students capturing the behind the scenes of their process and how to genuinely tell a story?
I think everybody wants to get to know the person, not just their hands and what they're doing, but like talk about it, what they're doing, where they come from, like what is their hardship, like really connecting with the audience, and maybe see what works for them. Everybody has a different social media platform, what they do, what works for them. So some people are not very free or daring enough to talk. They just do other things. But
Mhm.
you know, I want to see what someone is about and where is your process and all this. Right.
Absolutely. Would you say, is there a simple way to make the social content stand out without losing authenticity?
If it's hard, but losing the authentic, I think that's the easiest. For me, that would be the easiest to being authentic
Mhm.
because I couldn't be not authentic. I don't have that skill. Sometimes I wish I did. But being authentic is like that's the only way to go.
Some people are afraid to be authentic. They're
I
so scared of
know,
judgment.
I know, I know, I know, I
You
know
are
it.
very brave. You're very brave and daring. So, how do you decide what to post?
Well, um, I post when I see someone very cute and have good hair, you know, and I feel like I could put my stamp on it, you know, because I can't post everything, but I do like have my own niche of my work, and I kind of like stick with the genre of that kind of stuff. So if I find a good model and I can, you know, I can create my my you know, I can create something with that, and I can I do it. You know, I don't think about it. And also, I'm like, I get to an age, I'm like, fuck it, I don't care if you don't like it. You know, you don't like it. You kind of have to be like that. Just don't put your social media on and just waiting to be liked or waiting for like, am I good enough? You know, just just do it.
Absolutely. So, how can students use their social platforms to stand out in the competition?
Well, again, I think it's the same answer. I think a couple of questions before is like just be your authentic self. There are some students, all they showcase is what they wear. or what tools they use, right? Or what the inspirations are. And then you have some artist students who showcase the work that they do before. Like everybody has their own journey. So it's hard to tell like what I would do. I just think that what I would like to see is someone's work and someone's working on that same model or creative outlet, whatever that may be. But it's a good question, though.
I love your response. I think it's very genuine too. Now, are there any common mistakes that you see students make when sharing their competition related content online?
I haven't seen a lot of competition footage for social media online. I can only say when you do it, make sure your tools are clean, your background is quiet, and I can see your work. Meaning
So,
that if you put your camera down there, I want to make sure that you position it right with the good lighting. I can see what you're actually doing. I mean, most people, a lot of people forget about that. But also they're young, so.
yes, I feel like the final piece of the puzzle before submitting for a competition, like the Sebastian student competition, is the editing basics. Most
Mm-hmm.
students, because most students are not hiring a professional photographer or an editor for their shots. So, what's some insights
Okay.
around making these submissions the best they can be?
Okay, so what I would do then, right? I will make sure you get a good model, right? I make sure that you have your inspiration board or whatever that may be, that you know exactly what you're doing, right? When you pick a good model, make sure the hair texture this model has can really support your creativity, right? It can really support the look that you want to do on her or him or them. Make sure that, shooting the model, you can do it yourself, and that's totally fine. You can do it with a phone as well. You don't need to have the camera for it. The background needs to be, it needs to be, I would just need like a nice gray background or a printed background, whatever you want to do. I can't really tell you, but I would just, less is better. Okay, that's it. And that has to do with hair. That has to do with makeup. It has to do with what they wear. It doesn't have to be all that. It doesn't have to be overproduced. Just keep it simple.
I love that. Keep the focus on what you're presenting.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you ensure that the edits enhance the work rather than distract from it?
Keep it simple. Don't overdo it. And don't keep touching it. Just keep taking pictures and see how it works. And let her move her head a little bit and see, it might take a while to take that one good picture, especially if it's not a professional photographer. But that's why I said if you have a model who can move a little bit better than, you want to have a model what can move. You want to have a model what has some kind of modeling experience. That's going to help you.
I agree. Now, are there any specific tools or techniques that you recommend for the beginners who want to prepare a professional quality image?
Lighting is good. You can buy some good lighting, LED lighting online, where it's not that expensive. And also there's a lot of YouTube videos that can watch how to make good pictures, editorial shoots. So there's a lot of good content that you can find that helps you.
Yes, I feel like you just have to
I
be,
mean, that's what I would do. So I'll do the same thing.
well, you're definitely the queen here. We all want to follow in your, I'm following right in your footsteps, so lead the way.
Okay, you got it.
So, what do you recommend for the students that feel nervous or overwhelmed by the editing tools and
I
that they
know.
worry that they're doing too much?
Well, if they're worrying that they're doing too much, they're probably doing too much. That they probably have to what helps me is make a checklist, right? I before I do a shoot, I make sure I have my checklist and so I won't do too much and I won't get overwhelmed. So doing a checklist definitely helps you by not getting overwhelmed.
I think a big thing too is when you take that picture and you start picking it apart, like here's a flyaway, this curl isn't curling the right way. Do you recommend that students edit those flyaways out or just keep it natural?
I'm the same way though. When I'm online, when I'm on the photo shoot, like, ah, I hate it. Why is this? Because it looks different when you're doing the hair and you look through the camera, like you see everything, and not every angle is good. So before you start picking the hair away, why don't you try to find the angle that you really like within the hair, or within the shape, or have a profile, or sideways, or 3/4, or like let her move her face and then find the right angle. If you find the right angle, that's when you can keep polishing the hair. But unless you not find the right angle to shoot it, don't polish it yet, because you're going to ruin the whole hair.
That is something I never thought of, because whenever I think about editing, the first thing I want to do is Photoshop a picture. But just hearing to physically take your time and move the model around to get the perfect angle. What are your thoughts on those, on the Photoshop and the artificial intelligence to edit? Are you for or against doing that?
I think, so many things it's great with it, but like I always like a photo what speaks to me. And sometimes when this photo has been too worked with, I lose the connection with the mood of the picture. Because if you take a good picture of hair, whatever it is, it needs to speak to you. And when it's too polished or it's too like done with, then you lose that.
Can you tell when somebody edits away those real moments?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a fine line too, being too much or not enough. I mean, sometimes it helps because, sometimes, there's a fine line in the face that you can wipe off, or maybe that piece of hair isn't long enough, so they can fix that. I mean, sometimes it's really good, but when it's really like in the face, it's too much probably. There's a fine line. I'm yes for it. I'm also no for it. But my personal taste is a bit more lived in, a bit more gritty, a bit more like natural.
Absolutely. Now, for the students competing, should they stay away from it?
I think they should try all different kinds. I mean, they should definitely, they probably want something in post-production a bit more, everybody clean the surface a bit more, and if you can find someone who can like do that, they can definitely clean out the flyaways, because you really can do that best in post-production.
That makes sense.
Or do a hairstyle that doesn't have flyaways. If you do a hair with, it's like, let's say it's curly and there's a lot of flyaways, just make it more flyaway then, and make it about like this is a very textured kind of look. You know what I mean? Like if it's too flyaway, just go ahead and brush the whole thing out, or give me a look what it minimize flyaways, or maybe just that texture or that look on that model's hair might not work.
Absolutely. I think that with the content that is being captured, you can definitely tell if a picture is photoshopped or if it's altered. So it's important to stay authentic and not do too much to change the overall look.
Yeah, I mean, I like a little bit more of a flyaway. I like it more, I don't like it too polished, because that's not my work. But if you look at like some really cool Sassoon haircuts, and that hair is so polished, but their probably natural hair is straight, and it all fits to each look. Every look has, depending what kind of look that you're going for. Yeah.
Incredible insight. I hope that every student out there realizes that we're speaking to somebody that will be judging these and looking at all the competitions, the entries. I think that we are so lucky to have you here, because not everyone's willing to share that insight. And you just gave us a bunch of tools to add to our tool belt here and compete.
Good. I'm
with
glad.
them.
Yeah.
I think that was so important. It helps get the jitters out of here, not feel so scared to be yourself and try something new. Like you said, what's the worst that's going to happen? You fail and you try again.
Yeah. It's like, have to.
Yes. What should the students take away as a final piece of advice?
I think trust your work, because no one else is going to do it if you don't, right? Like, and I think maybe also that comes with age, because if you're a little older, then you kind of go, then like you have to trust your own work, and you have to be proud of what you do. Practice helps a lot, and being out there to find a mentor who can also help you, you know. If I had a mentor earlier on in life, I think that would have really like helped me. Maybe I wouldn't have fallen down as much as I did. I would have had more of a support and more of a safety net, or someone who can help me guide. I think a mentor was essential to your growth as an artist, but also can help you guide who could, in the right angle as an artist. A true mentor could definitely do that. So that's what my advice is, to like find yourself a good mentor who can help you and support you and push you in the right direction and tell you the hard lesson if it's right or wrong, you know, and have that safety net.
I agree. I think that you do a wonderful job at mentoring others, especially with the things that you share on your social media. I found myself sharing a couple of your quotes because they are
That's
they're too good. You're so
yeah.
raw, you're so honest. I couldn't have worded some of them better. You're great. But you are a busy woman, so where can students find you?
Well, I think social media is good. Instagram is good. I think in my DMs, you know, that's, I think that would be the best ways. I'm very good in responding. Someone will respond. So that's and I love to help. I do. I really do. I think this is a great career, and it's the best career, not a great career. I think it's one of the best careers because, especially if you like people, especially if you're an extrovert, you know, like if you want to be around people. It's also one of the last, I feel like, professions that you can start touch people's hair and actually being one-on-one. And also, this is not going to be taken away by AI neither. So this is a long-lasting career, and there's so many channels in this career that you can go to.
I agree. It's such a sustainable industry, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's incredible that there are competitions just to keep that hunger in the beauty industry alive. I think it's a phenomenal thing that Sebastian Hair Professionals with Wella have created the safe space to get dirty, get gritty, and compete.
Yeah, and also not only that, but it's like, if you know, competition work can also put your name right on the map, right? If you win or if you become a finalist, it's like it's nice to have your name being called out or being remembered. It's cool. I mean, it's so cool.
Yes, recognition is something that all humans naturally crave.
Yeah, and then you want to do more and more and more. It's like I feel like competition like this will definitely kick you in the ass. I mean, it will definitely like push you forward and like, you know, tell you kind of like, yes, you can do that. You see, look how amazing you are. It feels so good.
It'll make people feel silly forever thinking they weren't good enough. You
Yeah,
need
for
this.
sure. Yeah, and also
Because,
people who didn't believe in you, you're like, yeah, I just did that, right?
yeah, put it in
Yeah,
their face a little bit.
exactly. So it's so good. It's
Yes,
silently powerful.
very powerful. So, for this competition, how can the students get involved with the Sebastian student competition? And when's the final deadline?
That's a good question. I'm excited about this. February 16th, it's open, and it closes April 17th.
That is
That's
plenty of
it's
time.
coming up. It's coming up. I'm
Yes, it
excited.
is.
Are you going to enter?
I'm so excited for the students that are going to be able to participate. I wish I could participate, but I graduated. But this makes me want to go back and compete in as many competitions as possible. I only had the luxury of doing one before, but they don't have that one this year. So this year, the Sebastian Student Competition is the one to go for it and put it all on the table.
All right, so you're not a student anymore. Okay. I just thought you were. My bad.
That's okay. I feel like I will be a student for the rest of my life because it's the only way to get better in this industry.
You got it right.
I wanted to make sure to take the time and do something that we do with every single one of our guests on Volume Up by the Teas, which is the Teas Quick Takes. We're going to just rapid fire. So I really want you to say what comes to the top of your head, okay?
Okay, go for it.
Okay, let's see. The first one to kick it off is if you could instantly master one skill, what would it be? It doesn't have to be hair related.
I always wanted to build my own, whatever that is. I love building stuff. So if I could build my own house, I would. It's so manly of me, but that's what, because since I own a few salons, I feel like everything that broke, I had to call someone. So I feel like if I would have mastered a skill, I'm like fixing everything.
I love that response. I feel like as women, sometimes we have to man up, and that's a perfect example of a way to do so.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question I want to ask you, what's your current go-to song or album?
I just don't think I have one song or one album I really like, because I feel like I listen to so many genres of music, But I do have thought about this a lot, and I do have a song by David Bowie, "The Golden Years," that I love so much. It's because when I did a lot of shoots and campaigns with Robert Labetta, he was a big fan of David Bowie, and it would be like on the background in the studio playing all day long. So if I listen to his music, it reminds me of those days. But if I really think about the artists I really appreciate and respect as who they are in this world, I feel like I love Lady Gaga, but I even like more is Taylor Swift. Not because I'm such a girly pop at all. I appreciate who she is, and that makes me want to listen to her music. Because I think she's such a girl boss. She writes her own music. She just like does it all, and she keeps herself really relevant.
That is such a good range. I feel like when you really love music, you can't say one genre is better than the other because you just like them all. Okay, that was a really good answer. Okay, here's another question.
Okay.
Let's see. What is your favorite haircut trend that you're secretly obsessed with right now?
Part of me says like fuck trends, because I feel like if they're trendy, they're already like so yesterday, because everybody else is the same thing. But I am very much like, if I see a trend, I'm like, let's just break that one down and make it my own, because it's an inspiration, right? What I'm doing a lot today, obviously what I'm good in, is razor cutting. And I love a good shag. I love a good razor cut. And I love that lived in texture. And I think that kind of like, I love that the most, because it's like authentically, it tailors to every head texture.
I love that. I think that's so unique because there's so many trends everywhere. And the only way to set a new trend is to break it and make it your own.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, here's the final quick take. You ready?
Yeah.
What's something that made you smile today?
I have a daughter. Her name is Alex. And Alex calls me daddy. And that's something that she has done many years since she could talk, because that's just how it goes, I guess. I guess I come home late from work and I don't know. So that's the thing. She considers me as her dad. So the daddy thing doesn't get old. So that makes me kind of smile every morning when she says, daddy. So I'm like, oh my God, here she comes. I know that time is going to be slowly over, but I think it's kind of funny.
I think it's going to be something you'll remember forever.
Yeah, for sure.
Even she will. Yeah, that's so sweet. Well, I think that was so much fun, and your answers were so genuine and honest. So thank you for that.
Of course.
I love diving into your creative mind. Well, Murel, thank you
Claudia.
so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're so smart.
Just a little bit. I am a little bit nerdy, and I do pride myself in that. Thank you, Murel.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of Shape Your World Student Competition podcast series on Volume Up by the Tees. If you're a student, this is your sign. Sign up today and enter the Sebastian Student Competition. Entries run through April 17th and winners are announced May 1st. You don't want to miss it, and this is your only chance this year. Follow at Wella Education on Instagram or head to wella.com/competitions to learn more about how to enter. Make sure you use hashtag Wella Education, hashtag Shape Your World, hashtag Sebastian Professional as you're creating your looks. Be sure to hit subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Tees. Feel free to send in questions to volumeup@thetees.com. Volume Up is a Tees Media production. This episode produced by Monica Hickey and Madeline Hickey. James Arbaje is our editor and audio engineer. Thank you to our creative team for the custom Volume Up theme song and for putting together the graphics for this episode.